Understatement is a word rarely used in association with the Eurovision. Backstage, nerves can sometimes be frayed and tempers and emotions can run high. On stage, things can be even worse. 1978, Colin Wilkinson prepares to give his all for Ireland.
I said it would never work. You said let us try.
Colin's was a very dramatic performance. It started at a very high level and went up from there. Born to Sing, possibly a very apt title. Maybe Born to Scream, Roar.
And a man is born to do one thing, and I was born to sing. And I must take the good times and bad times let it bring.
Came out on stage and just gave it, you know, the sort of 150 million%. And to the extent that, the veins on his temples were throbbing, I thought he was going to have a coronary in the middle of it. I mean, it was just grit and determination. And a man is born to do one thing. And how he made it even to the end of the song was a miracle.
And I missed it in the morning, but most of all at night. And I couldn't stop the music, but I tried with all my life.
I remember his suit more than anything else. The green velvet, I think it was, suit kind of wavering as his voice kind of quavered. And as he kind of gripped the air and sort of, and a man was born to do one thing, and I was born to sing. You know, fairly understated.
And a man is born to do one thing, and I was born to sing. And I must take the good times and bad times that it brings. And I missed it in the morning, but most of all at night. And I couldn't stop the music.
He was a heavy-set man and maybe shouldn't have been wearing a peasanty costume, because as he expanded with the song, the costume just got ever tighter, and it was constricting him by the end. There's no doubt about it.
1994, and the most spectacular of all Eurovision interval acts.
I knew nothing about the Eurovision Song Contest. I hadn't a clue what it was. After growing up in New York, I did my university in England, and I got a phone call to perform, and I just said how much, and they told me what it was, and I went into the living room to my flatmates and I said, listen, I've just got this gig. What do you think? What is this event that happens every year? And they fell around the place laughing, saying, you can't perform at that. Don't touch it. It's horrible. And I said, well, I have to, because I have to pay my fees this year. So it was a very strange initial experience. As far as I was concerned, once I arrived in Dublin, the dance really took over from the event. So it was more about what was happening within the rehearsal studio and the space and the concept and the actual organicness of what was happening within Irish dancing, and that was intriguing and fascinating and very exciting. But as far as how that would relate to the population who would view this, that never came into my mind.
For over 40 years, the contest has presented a wide, some might say bewildering, range of interval performances. Interval acts have ranged from the classical to the farcical from the sublime to the ridiculous. None of these acts have made as much impact as this one.
There was an amazing rush performing on stage that night. One, because nobody fell. Two, because we finished it without dying. And no, but in fairness, the audience was spectacular. There was that magical, weird buzz that happens very so often when you're performing on stage. It's very hard to recreate. Riverdance was launched because of the stage that Eurovision set it. There's no doubt in my mind that Irish dancing would have ever became as popular and commercial as it is if it wasn't for that program. If two Americans hadn't led Riverdance from an artistic point of view and been dancing in it, it wouldn't have made the impact it had. When I watch the video, I see myself jolt back a bit. And I think that was just a sheer reaction of, we have finished, and everybody seems to be standing for some strange reason.
So, Portugal now, and then...
The Portuguese have never won the Eurovision, but that does not mean that their participation in the contest has not proved significant.
Many people deride television. Many people say it has no impact on people's lives, that it has no impact on the course of history. But strange as it may seem, in 1974, the Eurovision was used as a coded signal for a military coup in Portugal. Young army officers used the night of the Eurovision broadcast as the occasion to stage their coup. And when Portugal's entry walked onto the stage, that was the signal, the coded signal for officers in Oporto, in Lisbon, to seize barracks, radio stations, television stations, government buildings and so on. They knew that the whole of Portugal would be watching this spectacle, and they knew that most of their opposition might also be watching the spectacle. So it was a bloodless coup. At the end of April 1974, after nearly 60 years of one-party rule, Portuguese fascism, for want of a better term, fell. So television, in a strange way, does affect people's lives and does affect the course of history. Here is an example where the Eurovision was this coded coup for this series of events that changed people's lives for the better.
The following year, the entry from Portugal was a song in praise of their revolution. It was called Madrugada, which means the breaking of a new dawn. Well, doesn't it just go to show? Never underestimate the power of the Eurovision. See you in part 3.